News.com.
We have that accident working in North Hollywood, a multi-vehicle crash, 3 vehicles, and maybe injuries involved. 170 South at Magnolia Boulevard. The carpool and left lane are blocked there, and you're seeing some slowdown approaching the scene. Got debris in the roadway in Long Beach, 710 southbound at Del Amo Boulevard. That's a bumper in your left lane. Slowing from Long Beach Boulevard, no delays on the North 710 from the 405 to the 5.
Temperatures getting low but demand remaining high? You need Indeed. Their all-in-one platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. And Indeed's interview tool lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The trade that James Harden had been demanding since July finally went down late last night. The 10-time NBA All-Star got his wish and is coming to the Clippers. Trade talks between the Clippers and Philadelphia 76ers resumed over the weekend. The Clippers did not have to give up talented guard Terrence Mann. Here's what they gave up to get Harden: Marcus Morris, Robert Covington, Nick Batum, KJ Martin, a first-round pick in 2028, 2 second-round picks, and a first-round pick in 2029 from a third team to be named later. In addition to Harden, the Clippers get forwards PJ Tucker, a great defender, and Philippe Petrusev. Now that Harden is happy, the Clippers are getting a very talented player. Harden has won 3 scoring titles, was MVP in 2018, and led the league in assists last season. More on this trade later today. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Environmental justice, pollution, and climate. In Los Angeles and across America, people of color are suffering and dying from disproportionate health impacts on a planet that has less than 10 years to prevent irreversible damage. Heat illnesses, respiratory illnesses, water-related illnesses, food system impacts, insect-related diseases, black maternal health, and mental health effects. As the impacts of climate change mount, millions of vulnerable people, our people, are going to bear the brunt of these extreme environmental events, which will likely lead to forced displacement, loss of cultural identity, and other related risks. These realities are as real as rain. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details about the most progressive multimedia and live events campaign any black media outlet has ever undertaken to combat the climate catastrophe. Experts, events, empowerment. It's all on the way from unapologetically progressive KBLA Talk 1580. We don't black down. We level up.
Level up, 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 level up.
I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm delighted to have you listening to this program today. Honored and humbled, in fact. And I've been looking forward to this hour. I've been trying to get this brother to come see me for a while now. We've known each other for years. As a matter of fact, let that ride for a second, Miles. Miles, my board op, didn't know this. I'm going to see if E remembers this. The last time I actually saw E, we both went to check out a friend of ours who's performing at a club here in L.A. His name is Ellis Hall. You remember this? It's Ellis Hall, and Ellis Hall was performing at a spot here in town. I hadn't seen E for a while, and so there were a lot of folk in the audience that night. Michael T. Williamson was there. E was there. Michael T performed his harmonica on stage with Ellis Hall that night. And so Ellis Hall at one point was the lead singer of Tower of Power. And this is What Is Hip with Ellis Hall. And so Miles didn't even have any idea what he was playing. But that's funny, Miles. Last time I saw you, we heard Ellis Hall actually do this track. Awesome. Anyway, our guest in this hour is actor, writer, producer, director Eric LaSalle, who joins us live in studio, for those who want to check us out. And I look forward to a career conversation with this brother to talk about as well his latest book. It's called Laws of Annihilation, but E has done it all. ER on the small screen, coming to America on the big screen. I am delighted I finally got him into this studio. Eric LaSalle, let me just start by saying I love you, and there ain't nothing you can do about it, Negro.
Back at you, brother. Back at you.
So it's good to see you, first of all.
Oh, always.
You been good?
Good to see you. Yeah, man, real good.
Yeah. Let me just. I mean, we're gonna just let it do what it do, right? That's just how we roll. I think what the audience doesn't know about you, and frankly, I was a little behind on this because I hadn't seen you for a while, but you have really gone deep into the directing thing. I mean, I want to start talking about that, and I mean the Dick Wolf connection, and let me just pass the mic to you. Tell me about Eric LaSalle, the director.
Well, I started. It was funny, man. I was doing. I got cast in this movie that I replaced Denzel Washington. Denzel was years ago was doing an interracial love story with Michelle Pfeiffer, and so something happened. Denzel moved on, so there was this big mad dash to replace him. They auditioned a bunch of people. So I ended up landing the role and went down to North Carolina and was doing my thing. Director was happy. 2 weeks later, I get a knock on the door from one of the producers who says, "You look too young to play Michelle Pfeiffer's love interest, so we're gonna have to let you go." And this was supposed to be my big break. So I was devastated, and so I went back to New York. They paid me, and I just bought a spot from the ER, after doing ER. So I bought a spot, but it wasn't furnished. So I went out feeling bad, bought a bunch of furniture, spent money.
Hold on. You lose a job and you go spend a bunch of money.
Well, I got paid.
Okay.
It was it was the biggest paycheck I ever had. So
I got you.
So I didn't spend it. So I did that. And then I said, now what?
Right.
And the next week I enrolled in filmmaking class.
The next week?
The next week.
Wow.
And that's kind of like I give myself like a day or two to mourn disappointment, etc. So this one took a week because this one really took the wind out of my sails.
Right.
So I enrolled at the new school. I was living in New York. At the new school, took some classes. Then, of course, look, I had the advantage of being an actor, being on set. So I started following the DP around, the director of photography. I started following the Steadicam person around. I did the movie Jacob's Ladder, and Adrian Lyne, big director at the time, invited me into the editing room once he knew I was interested. So that became my education. And so I started directing, man, 20-something years ago. Yeah. And so that was, for me about having security and empowerment, because I realized even when you're doing things right, like I was doing everything I could on this movie, and I still got fired. And I realized I didn't want to spend the rest of my career in that position. So for me, directing became empowerment.
I want to talk about that when we come forward. This right to self-determination, as I would call it. I want to probe that because, again, it didn't take you long. The next week you enrolled in classes, and that's fascinating. We like to lick our wounds for a long time, and many of us never recover. Some of us ain't recovered from stuff from decades ago.
Exactly.
And you moved on so swiftly because you knew that you had a right to self-determination, and to your point, you didn't want to stay in that space. I want to talk about that and a great deal more. He's had an amazing career, still has an amazing career, and he's writing books. That's why it took so long to get here, because he ain't got time to come see me. He's so busy, but he's finally here for the hour. Eric LaSalle on Tavis Smiley.
Seeking the truth, speaking the truth. This is the Tavis Smiley Show.
Escalade IQ. This just an intro to the all-electric Cadillac, perfection like zoom. And on a full charge, you get 450 miles without the stop. Haiku. This is what I do. Daddy fat in the lack since '92. Linked all the way back, panoramic roof. Come with 24-inch rim standard. Ooh, why? Shawty don't kill him. Cadillac diamond in the back, cold chillin'. And when I'm on attack, on the track is no ceiling. Sky's the limit. You hear me? You hear me? Straight drop, no parachutes. Lay lines like a longitude and latitude. Feel it, beloved, clearly we're hustling. Bustin', truckin'. Cadillac, Cadillac, Cadillac.
For more on the Escalade IQ, visit Cadillac.com.
Available late 2024. GM estimate 450-mile range on a full charge based on development testing and/or analytical projection consistent with the CHA 1634 revision 2017 MCT. Range subject to change prior to production. Annual rates may vary based on service factors, including ambience temperature, terrain, battery age, and condition loading, and how you use and maintain your vehicle.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, Maisha Cairo here, KBLA, live at Chase Bank on Crenshaw and Vernon for the In This Together tour with female business owners, a day of empowerment, community panels, and best of all, tips on building business from marketing to capital. Today I spoke with Tatiana, a community manager for JP Morgan Chase.
Thank you so much. Yes, my name is Tatiana Roberts. I am a community manager for JP Morgan Chase. I have to honestly say that this has been the most fulfilling position that I've ever had, where I get to give back to the community because I saw my mom's struggles. That's really what fuels what I do to make sure that the community has all the access to the resources that my mother didn't have.
So for the mother who's in business, what are 3 quick tips you can give to ensure that they're on the right path to accessing financial support from a bank like Chase?
Say number 1, just make sure that you're checking your credit on a consistent basis and taking action to either fix your credit, maintain your credit, or rebuild your credit. The second thing would be budget. I know that B word is kind of like ugly for, right? A lot of people don't like that B word, but it has to be done. We need to tell our money where to go. The last thing is to build a network of supporters that are going to lift you up.
The community building here in Crenshaw is that network. So visit the Chase Community Center on Crenshaw and Vernon. Meet a banker today. Tell them about your business. I'm Maisha Cairo in the community for KBLA with JP Morgan Chase.
Get Macy's lowest prices of the season on incredible specials you need for fall. Like 55 to 65% off dressy and everyday coats for him and for her. 30 to 60% off dazzling fine jewelry during our diamond sale. And 65% off comfy sheets and bedding from Charter Club Damask to stay warm on cooler nights. Plus, download the app for even more great deals at Macy's. Savings off sale and clearance prices. Exclusions apply.
Made fresh daily in the Mert Park, Los Angeles, California. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Eric LaSalle. He's our guest in this hour, and I'm delighted to finally have him in studio to talk about his new book, Laws of Annihilation. We'll get to the book, I promise you, as he moves through this hour. But he's already saying things that got me going. And so this role that you got dismissed from. So Denzel, something happens, D can't do it.
Right.
You replace D, then they tell you you look too young to play Michelle Pfeiffer's love interest. So first of all, there went your moment to have some scenes with Michelle Pfeiffer. Let's go back to that first of all. That's not on your resume.
Right. Well, yeah. No, we did. Like I said, I shot for about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They were looking at dailies, and they decided that I looked too young. So I was replaced by cool brother Dennis Haysbert.
Oh yeah.
The movie was called Love Field, and it took place the day that JFK was assassinated.
Yeah.
So anyway, but the thing about it, man, is like you get tied up and you go, all right, this is going to be it. This is going to be it, and then it's not.
Yeah.
And just that quickly, it's gone. What do you do now?
Yeah.
And so that's what launched me into directing. And first thing I did was I did short films.
Mm-hmm.
Steven Spielberg saw one of my short films, and Mel Gibson. They called HBO. There was a project called Rebound, the story of Earl the Goat Manigault, who was a great, street ball player.
The Rucker,
yeah. So we cast Forrest Whitaker, Don Cheadle played the lead, Michael Beach, Clarence Williams, Clarence Williams the third, and Ren Brown, who played this commentator who was hilarious. The studio would call me and be like, "What did he say?" Because Ren Brown can say some stuff.
That's
right?
Ren.
So so that was my first gig. Then I directed the pilot of Soul Food for Showtime. Then I've been, doing various projects, and then I got hooked up with the Dick Wolf camp.
Tell me about that, the Dick Wolf stuff, because he's legendary, man.
Yeah.
I mean, this Law and Order stuff is just, it's outrageous.
Yeah.
But tell me about that connection to Dick Wolf's company.
Well, I did one of the first gigs I did when I decided when I transitioned into episodic television, because the first couple of projects I did was cable. Back in the day we called it cable, HBO and Showtime. So I did SVU. It was a very popular episode. Blair Underwood and Michael Michelle, and so they asked me to come back and do another one. So I did another one. Then I went off, did a bunch of things. Wasn't in the camp for a few years, and then all of a sudden I got a call and they said, "Hey, listen, we want you to direct Chicago PD, Chicago Med, and at the time they had one called Chicago Justice." So I went to Chicago and I ended up doing 4 jobs. The fourth one wasn't a Dick Wolf thing, but I did all these things with Dick Wolf, and they loved all of them and said, "Hey, what do you think about becoming a producer?" And I was like, "Oh, cool. That's right up my alley of empowerment and control."
Oh, yeah.
So they made me executive producer of Chicago PD. So I ran that for about 3.5 years. I was the main director and executive producer. Changed the culture of the show. So I was really proud of that. And now currently, I am doing Dick Wolf's foray into streaming. His first streaming show for Amazon is called On Call. So I directed the pilot. We're doing 8 episodes. I direct 4, and then another director directs 4. So I'm starring in it. I'm the third lead in it. I'm the executive producer and the director. And the one thing I got to tell you about Dick Wolf is he's been doing this so long. And I mean this in a good way. He's got his stuff down to almost like a factory. Like he all he wants is to make sure you're doing your part to keep it running smoothly. So the more you do that, his organization is a meritocracy. The better you do, the more you're rewarded, and the freedom and the trust. Let me tell you something straight up. I've been in this business a long time. I've never been treated with more respect and trust and confidence than I have with him. I mean, no matter what job I've had some good jobs. Sure. But this one is, working with him has been awesome.
I'm fascinated. I've never met Dick. Well, actually, it's not true. I met him briefly one time. He and I were at a restaurant, bumped into each other, and spoke briefly years ago. But I've never spent any time with Dick Wolf, to my recollection. But I don't know what I admire or respect more about this brother: his artistic genius or his entrepreneurial genius. Yeah. Talk to me about that.
He's. I call him Uncle Dick.
Right.
He's been so good to me, I'm like Uncle Dick,
There you go.
And he's just a no bullshit. He's just straight up. You know what I mean? And I've always respected that.
Right.
And watching him do deals, that dude, man, you talk about a businessman. Yeah. This dude does some amazing deals where he gets paid 2 or 3 times off the same product.
That's what I said. He's an entrepreneurial genius as much as he's an artistic genius.
He's a genius. And then, his shows resonate. His shows, people, really love his shows.
And they run for 100 years.
They run for 100 years. The residuals. Yes. I mean, you can. And another thing about his camp, extremely loyal.
Yeah.
I mean, if you start paying attention to credit, you'll see a director on one director's name on all of these shows, because if they like you and if they like what you're doing, they just start putting. He's got 9 shows on the air, 9 shows
right now.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And so when this actor strike is finally over, we get to get back because we interrupted halfway through.
Sure.
We get to get back and start doing our thing. But he's got 9 shows, so he rewards hard work and good work. And here's the cool thing: Next Generation. His son, Elliot Wolf, developed the show that I'm doing now. It's called On Call, And you remember Adam 12?
I do.
Back in the day?
Absolutely.
So On Call is basically an updated version. 2 cops in the car,
Right.
Similar to Training Day. Like one is a senior, one is, and all the crazy calls that they encounter. And Elliot started this thing. And
Keep
it's
it in the family.
Next generation, man.
Yeah, I'm mad at it. When you decided the week after you got booted from the Michelle Pfeiffer project that you were going straight to film school and you were going to control your own destiny, I'm trying to assess what you think. Every director can answer this question in his or her own way. But given your experience as an actor, obviously your life's journey, a black man being in the business all this time, what do you think what does your eye, what does Eric LaSalle's eye bring, broadly speaking, to the stuff that you put your hands on? What's that unique thing that you bring to these projects?
Well, look, art is all about perspective. Art is all about various perspectives. So that's why it's always troubling and disturbing when you have people that don't want to include other people, because that means you are now ignoring other perspectives. So I try to bring a perspective of, well, first of all, look, I'm an actor first. So I am known as a performance director. So I pull great performances out of people. That's how I made my reputation as a director. Then shortly after that, I'm very visual. And every director will say they're visual. I'm extremely visual. I think in terms of visuals. In my regular life. So I think adding those elements, and then I come from Hartford, Connecticut, North End, which, like Hartford is the insurance capital of the world, but it's also it's also one of the poorest cities in the world. Right. So you have this perspective of an African-American man who comes from this dual world, and, went to Juilliard, was classically trained, went to NYU, was classically trained. But you don't lose the sense of the brother in there. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so you're always going to have a certain perspective, a certain kind of heart about how you see the world, how you see yourself as an African-American man, how you see African-American women, how you see people of color, how you see minorities, how you see women, etc. So I just try to bring that unflinching truth to the work. I'm not interested in everyone can't like your work. If they do, you're doing something wrong. So I say the people that like truth and grit and real interesting human exchange, that's my niche.
What was it like? Let me just spend a minute there. I haven't gotten to the book yet, Laws of Annihilation. I ain't even said Coming to America yet. So there's a lot to get to. I ain't said ER yet. A lot to get to in a career conversation in an hour. You're going to squeeze a whole career into 1 hour. But I'm delighted Eric LaSalle is here in case you just tuned in. Let me just ask right quick, watching my time. It's getting away from us. What is it like? I've been to Hartford a number of times, and you're right. It's a serious dichotomy. It is the insurance capital of the world, and yet it has pockets of serious poverty. What's it like growing up in a space, and I assume that as a kid at some point you realize that there are two sides of the track in this city?
Well, you don't. Yeah. That's the thing.
You don't see it.
You don't, because listen, I had a single black mother, worked her butt off, made sure we had a nice home, make sure we had clothes, food. And so you don't know. I didn't know.
What you didn't know.
I didn't know. Yeah. I mean, we lived across the street from a welfare. Yeah. We had a nice house, but we lived across the street from a welfare apartment. Right. You know what I mean? And so you don't. You just look. Everybody's doing their thing. We weren't rich. Yeah. We weren't necessarily poor. You know what I mean? Or by our standards. Yeah. Lots of love. Good old-fashioned black mama raising you. So right there, if your world is secure, that you're not really thinking, if you're not wanting. And so we didn't have always the best of things, but we had the necessities. And so it wasn't actually until I was an adult, and I remember I looked up in Wikipedia said Hartford, Connecticut is one of the poorest. I was like, damn, really? So I was like, oh, okay. So yeah,
I only grew up there.
Yeah.
That, well, I guess I'm relieved that at that age, you didn't have to wrestle with that dichotomy, as I put it earlier. Right. But you eventually figured it out.
Right.
But exactly. I mean, I went there. I wasn't raised in Hartford, obviously. I went there as an adult, and I saw it the minute I got there. Right. You drive around, and you're doing things in town. You're like, man, insurance capital of the world, and over here you're looking at abject poverty.
Right.
But that's the story of America.
See, we didn't know about abject.
Yeah, sure.
We knew about they're in the welfare department, whatever. But we didn't. They were our friends, so we, you know what I mean. And so you're not judging it. But once you become an adult, you become more highly attuned to it.
So how did you get in the lane? How did you get on the path to becoming a thespian?
Wow. Always, when I was a kid, I always wrote poetry and creative stuff, from 8 years old. That was the first passion, writing. Wanted to be a doctor for a minute until I discovered I was...
you were on ER.
Yes, but in real life, I'm afraid of blood. And so I was like, that ain't going to work. So I switched up. And then, at 14, I auditioned for Raisin in the Sun for the school play. The acting bug took hold, and that carried me through several years. And then it wasn't until, again, once I got fired from the job, once I started directing, then I had to write short films to direct. So that made me fall back in love with the concept of writing. And then I wrote Twilight Zone. I wrote an episode of Twilight Zone. It was highly received and greatly received. And so I just kind of started falling back in love with, and then I just got this notion that I would try my hand at novels. And I started writing novels, and I think I write novels better than screenplays. I think I found my niche writing wise.
We'll talk about Laws of Annihilation, his latest book, as we move through this hour. Since I mentioned it, you mentioned being a doctor, and I mentioned ER. Who knew? He plays a doctor on ER, and he's scared of blood. But just take a couple minutes and tell me, as you look back on it, what those ER years were all about for you. And I'm your friend, I'm your brother, from the outside looking in, and because I have some sense of this, because people put your business all out, ER set you straight, man. I mean, the truth of the matter is, if you never worked again after ER, with all the stuff you're doing, if you never worked, if you never wrote, it's a beautiful thing to see a brother who does a series and makes so much money that if he don't want to work again, he doesn't have to. And you're a young guy when you walked away from ER. But when you look back on those ER years, what do you think? What was that like?
Well, it was both. It was a game changer. Gave me international recognition, gave me a name, gave me everything. So great. The cast, we were very close as a cast. That was, family. And, we started off, we just lost Matthew Perry. But, both shows started off together. And we were in this, originally we were in sound stages. They were on sound stage number 10. We were on sound stage number 11. So everybody's starting out together. ER was, it was great, but it was challenging as well, because I was fighting battles that my colleagues did not have to fight. I had to fight for simple things like a black man taking a black woman on a date. Like, they didn't feel that they never wrote that. But my white counterparts were going on dates all the time. And I said, black people like to eat and listen to music. And here's one for you. Here's one for you. They would write my white counterparts on dates going to jazz clubs. And I'm like, hello, So, but, so as much as I love the cast, as much as I love the journey, there was some behind the scenes struggles.
Let me do this right quick. Sure. When we come forward, I'm going to tell you a funny story, and I'm going to tell the whole audience. I've never told this story. You mentioned our mutual friend Ren Brown earlier.
Yes.
I called Ren the day I saw the news that you were walking away from ER.
Okay.
I said, Ren, has this Negro lost his mind? I know the millions you were making to be on that show. I said, I love E. This Negro is literally, they didn't write him out. He's leaving ER and all that money on the table. I tell you what Ren said to me when we come forward. You're listening to Eric LaSalle on Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Can you dig it? Come on!
What's up, party people? It's your favorite MC's favorite rapper, MC Light here. And we're celebrating 50 years of hip-hop, authentically powered by Cadillac. And we're going to take it way back to where it started. It was only fitting that hip-hop began with teenagers at a back-to-school jam in the rec room of a South Bronx apartment complex by an 18-year-old brother. By the way, I'm also sure he had a Cadillac parked outside. He noticed the energy on the dance floor when he switched between two turntables, extending the beats, repeating the breaks, and never losing the rhythms. And that was the birth of hip-hop. And from that moment, it took off.
For more on how Cadillac is celebrating hip-hop's 50th, visit Cadillac.com/audacity.
It's a Tuesday morning, October 31st. I'm Mike Moore. Now here's the latest from the Black Information Network. As the criminal fraud trial of Sam Bankman-Fried begins to wrap up, the former crypto billionaire will take the stand one final time. The former CEO is accused of fraud after the exchange and its associated trading firm collapsed late last year. The FTX founder will testify a third time in a Manhattan court today. Civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump has joined the family of a man killed by Jackson police in calling on the U.S. Justice Department to investigate the mysterious death. At a news conference Monday, Crump called the death of 37-year-old Dexter Wade a cover-up. Records show that Wade, who is African-American, was fatally struck by a police vehicle back in March, and his body was then buried in a pauper's field. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
We have that accident working in North Hollywood, a multi-vehicle crash, 3 vehicles, and maybe injuries involved. 170 South at Magnolia Boulevard. The carpool and left lane are blocked there, and you're seeing some slowdown approaching the scene. Got debris in the roadway in Long Beach, 710 southbound at Del Amo Boulevard. That's a bumper in your left lane. Slowing from Long Beach Boulevard, no delays on the North 710 from the 405 to the 5.
Temperatures getting low but demand remaining high? You need Indeed. Their all-in-one platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. And Indeed's interview tool lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The trade that James Harden had been demanding since July finally went down late last night. The 10-time NBA All-Star got his wish and is coming to the Clippers. Trade talks between the Clippers and Philadelphia 76ers resumed over the weekend. The Clippers did not have to give up talented guard Terrence Mann. Here's what they gave up to get Harden: Marcus Morris, Robert Covington, Nick Batum, KJ Martin, a first-round pick in 2028, 2 second-round picks, and a first-round pick in 2029 from a third team to be named later. In addition to Harden, the Clippers get forwards PJ Tucker, a great defender, and Philippe Petrusev. Now that Harden is happy, the Clippers are getting a very talented player. Harden has won 3 scoring titles, was MVP in 2018, and led the league in assists last season. More on this trade later today. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Are you interested in catching up on all the latest entertainment news, trending topics, and exciting interviews? I got you. Tune in to The Raw Report with Robin Ayers, Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. I'm your host, Robin Ayers. Join me every weekday with some of the best entertainment contributors in the business as we break down what's going on, who's got next, and what not to miss. Only on The Raw Report with Robin Ayers.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Provember is here at Lowe's. Right now, save $200 on a DeWalt sliding miter saw. Lowe's knows pros. While supplies last, selection varies by location. Valid through 11/22. Subject to change.
No young person should ever have to worry about having a safe place to sleep at night, or whether anyone cares about them.
But the reality is, 1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year.
For over 50 years, Covenant House has been helping youth in crisis and giving them the support and tools they need to succeed in life. To learn more, go to covenanthouse.org today. Thank you for caring.
At Susan G. Komen, we believe that ending breast cancer needs all of us working together. Because if you've just been diagnosed and don't know where to turn, we've got you. If you can't afford the treatment you need, we've got you. And if you are driven to honor the loved one you've just lost, we have a place for you here. Because of you, we're supporting those who need help today while tirelessly searching for tomorrow's cures. Visit Komen.org and be a part of our Susan G. Komen community today.
If you are a private individual or a small business owner who has had problems obtaining a business loan, credit card, or just even acquiring an apartment, please call Alliance Hillview LP for a free consultation at area code 510-459-6001. That's area code 510-459-6001. Remember, don't let your past determine your future.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
Our guest is Eric LaSalle. He has a new book out, a novel called Laws of Annihilation. We'll get to that. We'll talk a bit about coming to America and some other things in his career, which you have to talk about when you see Eric LaSalle. He knows that, and I know that, and you know that. And trust me, I'm getting there. But I was saying to Eric during that break, my respect for you, just grew exponentially. When I read the news that you were leaving ER. I told Ren, our mutual friend Ren Brown, I said, I don't know what this Negro is going to do. I don't know what happened. I don't know why he left. But any Negro that can walk away from that kind of money has earned my respect, because he's not a slave to the rhythm. He's not cooning. He ain't buck dancing. He ain't tomming. He's decided this no longer works for me, and I'm out of here. I felt the same way about Dave Chappelle when he left Comedy Central. Right. That's $50 million. That's a lot of money to walk away from. Yes, but Dave did it on his own terms. So tell me about leaving ER and how you made that decision.
Well, a lot of it had to do with by this time I was deeper into the directing. I directed Rebound for HBO. It was very well received, and then I went and, like I said, did the pilot for Soul Food. That was well received. So I was, and at some point you go, listen, I keep fighting these battles. One of the most notorious battles that became public was I was in an interracial relationship on the show, and I ended it. And the reason I ended it, the actress, Alex Kingston, was amazing. We had great chemistry. We were great friends. We did great work together. It had nothing to do with her. It had nothing ultimately to do with the interracial aspects of it. What it had to do with, I had 3 relationships with black women on the show prior to her. And like I said, we never went on dates. All we did was fight and screw, and you know what I mean. And so now when they put me with a white woman, all of a sudden we're going on dates. I'm treating her better than I treated the black women, and I just said, look, that's your narrative. That's not I won't be the tool that you use if that's your image of black people. Yeah. And I said, now we have to end this relationship, because it is, to me, it's telling black women that a black man won't put in the effort for them, but he will put in effort for a white woman. And I'm not comfortable with that. Listen, whatever people think, interracial relation, that I've dated interracially, it wasn't about that, but it wasn't a balance. It wasn't a balance of black women being treated a certain way by a black man on the #1 show on television. That stuff resonates. So
they ain't got no love for black love.
They got
no love for black love.
No, it's like and I was like, I'm not asking for anything different than what you're writing for. Sure. So anyway, all of that stuff, so those kind of battles were going on, and then at some point I said, look, man, are you going to be a director, or are you going to continue to be an actor, or just an actor?
Yeah.
And so I, talked to my pastor at the time, and he told me, he said, listen, man, my favorite movie is Raiders of the Lost Ark. When he gets to the bridge and you can't see anything, sometimes you got to take a leap of faith. Now, what people don't understand, and you and I have talked about this, what people don't understand is it didn't work out perfectly right away. And so there were some lean years. There were moments of doubt. There were some moments of second guessing. Absolutely. I don't want to make this thing, I left and I jumped into this. No. There was some lean years. There was some difficult years. I think I'm built for it. And I, doubled down on the faith. And now I am in a position where I have more power than I think I could have ever acquired as an actor. So it does work out. I have input. See, when I get hired as an actor, they might hire 2 or 3 other. I might get a wife. I might get kids. When I get hired as a director and a producer, that means there are many more people of color that are working. I'm hiring behind the scenes. I'm saying, hey, the judge that you wrote for the middle-aged white guy, why can't that be an Asian woman? Why can't that be a sister? Why can't that be this? So the power of input, and especially working with a camp like Dick Wolf, who trusts me and respects me, they allow me to shake things up. So I've now, after wading through some difficult times after that decision, wading through that, I'm now in this season, and I've been in, for the last several seasons, I've been in this period of empowerment and enrichment, enlightenment. I'm still, I don't like to talk about money, but I'm, now
you ain't broke.
Yeah, now you get to create it, but you get to create even more
money.
You know what I mean? And so I don't know if I had stayed on the show where I would have been. I know right now, as a middle-aged African American man, there aren't a lot of great roles for me. So if that's all I was, if that's all I had, now, dude, I'm doing a show where I'm doing it all. I'm acting,
directing, and producing.
Executive producing. Exactly. So I'm good.
And I ain't mad at you, Eric LaSalle. I ain't mad. Can I borrow some money when you get out when we wrap this conversation? Let me ask you right quick, watching my time here. I've seen a bunch of brothers who, again, have exercised their right to self-determination, to step away from X, Y, or Z, whatever it may be, not just in Hollywood, but step away. To your point, those lean years come, and we never hear from them again. You walked away from a major show as a black man, told ER and the network, I'm out of here.
Right.
There were some lean years, but you're back, and you're not you win anyway. LL said, don't call it a comeback.
Right.
There were some lean years, but now, as we said a moment ago, you're doing all of this. What do you make of the fact that you told them, I'm dipping, but you're still in the game?
Well, here's a great thing that, and people need to recognize. It's similar to high school. Like when you're in high school, everything.
That's
everything
funny.
Matters.
Hollywood is just like high school.
Everything matters. Everything matters. Like the mean girls. The bullies. The this or that, and you go, oh my. But what you realize is, once you make it past those 4 years, you'll never see a lot of those people again, and a lot of them. The person that used to be the captain of the football team fell off, and so but these were people that you heralded, you lifted up, you gave them some. So Hollywood is very similar. There are people that were so prominent in that time and so powerful. Dude, they've fallen. I'm still standing, and I'm proud of that. And not that I'm in competition with anybody. I'm just doing my thing.
That's right.
But it is an interesting observation where someone that was so powerful. I've had studio heads and people, people you go, they're not showing you love. They're not even in the game anymore. And I'm proud of the fact that after all these years, not only am I in the game, I'm in the game on my terms.
Winning. Eric LaSalle is winning. And speaking of winning, his book is called Laws of Annihilation. We'll talk about that when we come forward. And I don't know, when you're Eric LaSalle and play the character that he played in Coming to America, whether or not you get sick of that. People love you for it. They love you, love you, love you. One of my favorite films ever. But does that ever get tiring when people just want to talk about Coming to America? So we'll talk about it, whether he wants to or not, at least for a couple seconds when we come forward. You're listening to Eric LaSalle right now on Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
Attention small landlords who own 12 or fewer residential rental units. The City of LA Emergency Renters Assistance Program is back to help small landlords and is now accepting applications. Apply for up to 6 months of rental arrears for low-income residential tenants behind on rent. Applications will be accepted until October 31st, 2023 at 6 p.m. Go online 24/7 at housing.lacity.org or call 888-379-3150 to see if you qualify and apply today. City of LA Small Landlords. This program is for you.
Do you have both Medi-Cal and Medicare? The new LA Care health plan called LA Care Medicare Plus, HMO DSNP, can help you get the most out of your health plan for $0 premium. LA Care is here to provide Angelenos with access to quality health care at an affordable cost. For $0 premium, you can get full benefits from vision coverage and in-home support services to prescription drug coverage, plus more. Call 855-688-1479. 855-688-1479.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Thinking about hosting a podcast and don't know where to start? Morris Media Studios has you covered. We're a professional podcast and voiceover studio located in Leimert Park. We specialize in recording and live streaming audio and video podcasts. Let us help you set up, record, and distribute your podcast. Hosting a podcast is a great way to bring awareness to your business, product, or good cause. For more info, visit morrismediastudios.com or give us a call at 323-815-4204.
Sounds different, huh? This is Tavis Smiley.
We'll get to the book Laws of Annihilation, if I can say it in just a moment, the latest book from Eric LaSalle. He is the celebrity book ambassador for the Leimert Park Village Book Fair, Saturday, November the 11th, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. If you're in the Southern California area, you can see Eric and a bunch of other great authors at the Leimert Park Village Book Fair, Saturday, November the 11th, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. He, again, is the celebrity book ambassador for this year's festival. We'll do that in the second year. We ain't got to spend a lot of time on this. I know you get asked this all the time. People see you at restaurants, on the sidewalk. I'm sure you get it all the time. You will never outrun Coming to America. My only question is, are you okay with that?
I'm okay with it. Look, brother, it's all blessings, and it's a part of the career, and especially when people put it in that perspective as being a part of the career.
Yeah.
It's all love, it's all blessings, and it's an iconic film, particularly for our community.
Yeah.
And hey, right on.
Yeah. I will say this with all due respect to Eddie, who I love, and Arsenio, who I love. When I see them, we just run lines from the original Coming to America. I just mess with them. But I knew they couldn't touch what they did in the original.
Right.
So
right.
I didn't even try to see the second one,
Right.
and the reviews were horrible.
Yeah.
And I'm told at least that you were not in it. I admit I couldn't watch it.
I'm not in it. I feel like you. I was in Chicago. I had the perfect excuse. I was in Chicago. I was directing and producing the show, and I was just like, I'm good. You know what I mean? And then I did see it, and I'll leave it at that. Let's just be diplomatic.
Well, you're better than I am. I couldn't do it. I'm such a fan of the first, I couldn't even touch it. Leave that alone. Laws of Annihilation. Tell me about this novel, Eric LaSalle.
So this is the third in my series. First book was Laws of Depravity. The second book was Laws of Wrath. And then this one is called Laws of Annihilation. And it follows two New York City detectives, one African-American, one Irish-Italian-American. They are the best closers in New York City. They only investigate high-profile serial killers. So very much in the vein of the movie Seven.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is with the franchises, they are joined by a half-Jewish female FBI agent. So the three of them take on these cases. Laws of Annihilation, each book, I should say, affects our protagonists in different ways. So the first book affects the Italian-Irish cop, because he was an altar boy who was molested by priests, and the crime of that book is priests are being killed by someone that was molested.
Got it.
So the second book, the African American character, his father was a notorious gangster who did some stuff back in the day that comes back and haunts them. So it affects them differently. The third book, Laws of Annihilation, we deal with the Jewish FBI agent, and they are investigating hate crimes. Someone has, in the first two chapters, someone has savagely murdered two rabbis. And so we start dealing with hate crimes. We then find out that the son of a rabbi who is racist against black people has been kidnapped and thrown into a basement and imprisoned, and a racist black guy has been also kidnapped and thrown into the same basement. And so they have every reason to want to kill each other.
Yeah,
right?
I get it.
But then at some point they realize that the only chance they have is trying to figure it out and work it. So look, that's a microcosm and a metaphor for the country. And then so it's just interesting of what's happening in the world right now. But there's this thing that I call the algorithm of hate. And if you just kind of follow the algorithm of hate, every 3 or 4 months, something's going to happen. Either somebody black is going to get shot, somebody, there's, the rise of anti-Semitism, there's the rise of anti-Muslim. It's just like so much stuff.
It's an algorithm.
It's an algorithm.
Yeah.
And so the book, people are, right now I'm getting like, wow, this is so timely. This is so, and I just say, listen, it's really the algorithm of hate more than, so
it's a powerful point. You could not have known that the world would be on fire.
Right.
In the Middle East, in the Jewish community in this country feeling a certain way. You couldn't have known that when you wrote this book.
Exactly.
But your point is prescient. It's taken. It's the algorithm of hate. I didn't have to know it.
Right.
It's going to come around eventually because it's an algorithm.
Yeah.
I never thought about that. I love that phrase, an algorithm of hate. I learned something with Eric LaSalle every time I'm in his presence. More about Laws of Annihilation and the Leimert Park Village Book Fair when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
My daughter was diagnosed with a rare malignant rhabdoid tumor on the spine. They sent her straight to St. Jude. My hope was gone. But when you get there, everyone's like, hey, we're not going to give up. And when you see other people not giving up on your child, that makes all the difference in the world. When I found out I didn't have to pay, I was just grateful. They saved my baby's life.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer.
Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
Your floors can go from clean to dirty fast. From juice spills, whoops, to muddy paw prints, to little sticky finger marks. Good thing your Swiffer WetJet works fast too. Swiffer WetJet easily cleans everyday messes as quick as they happen. The next mess is right around the corner. So grab your Swiffer WetJet and just spray, push, all clean.
Ready to re-examine your assumptions and expand your inventory of ideas? More of Tavis Smiley coming your way right now.
Eric LaSalle's new book is called Laws of Annihilation, the third in this series. He is the celebrity book ambassador. If you're in Southern California at the Leimert Park Village Book Fair, Saturday, November 11th, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., just adjacent to this studio, in fact.
Yes. And also, Omar Epps is going to be
there. Oh, that's right. That's right. Omar's going to be there. Sure,
Omar,
yeah.
He and I are both doing our thing.
Yeah, that's the reason to go right there. Eric LaSalle and Omar Epps in the same place. You can't go wrong with that. I've written, 24 books in my career, but all of my books are nonfiction. And having said that, and the reason why I said it, in fact, is because I have such respect for fiction writers. More respect for fiction than nonfiction writers. Okay. And the reason is because when I sit down to write a book, I know what I'm writing about. Right. I know what I'm talking about.
Right.
Now, I got to do some research on it, but I know what the theme is.
Right.
When you sit down for a fiction book, you sit down with a blank page.
And your imagination.
And you go, and your imagination. Yeah. That scares the crap out of me.
It's, but it's also empowering, man, because you get to tell stories, and, I'm obviously very much affected by film and television. So I just tell stories. I'm a storyteller, and I'm honored to be a storyteller. And so, you dig deep, you do your research, you make everything credible and realistic, and the cop stuff has to feel real, whatever you're doing. But I love it, man.
When you wear multiple hats like you do, my experience has been with the hats that I've worn, that each experience gives you something different. Mm-hmm. Each lane gives you something different. I've written 24 books, and yet I hate to write. Mm-hmm. Writing is just not. I have to work hard. I can talk my behind off, but I have to work at writing.
Right. We all do.
Yeah, it's tough. Maya Angelou, I'm gonna clean this up for radio. Maya Angelou, my godmother, once said to me, "Tavis, easy reading is darn hard writing."
Yes.
Easy reading is darn hard writing.
Right. That's good. Yeah.
That's Maya Angelou. But I close on this note. What does the writing do for you different than the acting, than the producing, than the et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, they all feed each other.
Yeah,
you got to realize that as an actor, and being an actor makes me a better director. Mm-hmm. Being understanding writing from a director's point of view makes me a better writer, makes me a better director, mm-hmm. makes me a better producer. So they're all interchangeable to a degree because they're all ultimately storytelling. Right. So they empower me. And so I, like, for instance, as a writer, because of being an actor and understanding character and characterization, people rave about my characters. Mm-hmm. They're like, I see your characters, I feel your characters, because I write characters as an actor would. I'm almost playing them out. You know what I mean? So it's just, so it feeds it. It feeds it.
The book is called Laws of Annihilation by Eric LaSalle. He is the celebrity book ambassador for the Leimert Park Village Book Fair, Saturday, November 11th, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. If you're in the Southern California area, coming to Southern California, you want an excuse to come to Southern California. Come hang out with Eric LaSalle and Omar Epps at the Leimert Park Village Book Fair. Again, Saturday, November 11th, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eric, it's a joy to see you. As I say all the time, we say around here, we're rooting for everybody black. Right. But it means something when you've known somebody for 25, 30 years and you see them living life on their own terms and doing remarkably good work and just doing well and doing good. Yes. And I celebrate you.
Hey, thank you, brother. Back at you, because you're doing your thing too, and this friendship goes back a long time, and we keep growing and keep doing our thing, man.
That's
so
all we can.
Kudos to you as well.
That's all we can do, man.
Yeah.
That's our show. Back here tomorrow, Lord willing, to do it all over again. Until then, thanks for tuning in to Tavis Smiley, and as always, keep the faith.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black